Welcome! This is Cherie with Rehashfiber. For all the fiber artists that normally visit this channel, today we are going to do something totally different. And I want to welcome everybody who is interested in learning how to travel like a pro. I have spent most of my life traveling around the world. It's been about 32 years now that I've been on the go. I worked in the travel industry for 24 years, and then I've been a photographer traveling all over. So I know a lot of ins and outs, how to travel light, things to do to prepare for a trip in faraway places, and some tips on a good mindset for long distance travel, and some of my favorite items that I always use every trip. So please join me. I will tell you all about it, from the beginning of how to plan a trip to then all those items that I love to use. To make it easier for you, I'm going to timestamp each subject and put it in the description for the show. That way, if you want to jump ahead to something you're more interested in, you can do it. In a little bit, I'm going to be talking about my favorite items that I like to use when I travel. I am not being paid by anybody. These are just my favorite items that I have purchased myself and that I want to share with you. Also, when I talk about time frames, like what to do at 6 months out, 1 month out, 1 week out, those are just general time frames. You are not held fast to those. You can do things however they work for you. That is just how I grouped it to make things a little bit more simple. The first steps for planning the trip are: how much time do you have to go? Where do you want to go? And what is it going to cost to get there and stay there? So you will find when you are working with those 3 factors, it will rule your trip in or out. I've had it rule a trip out very quickly. My daughter wanted to go to Africa to see a gorilla that's nearly extinct. And when we looked up the time and the cost, there was no way we were doing that. So you learn very quickly what you can and can't do. Once you decide where you're going, you can get your plane ticket as soon as you know. But I'm going to say at the 6-month mark, these are some things that are good to be working on doing. Of course, get your airfare for your transportation, how you're going to get there. Get your lodging set up, and then find out how you're going to get around in country. So at the 6-month out period, if you are going to a developing country, you need to check to see if you need vaccinations. You can find that information online with an easy search, and then you will know what you need. You will need to find your local center in your city that does vaccinations like that. So it is a big expense if you're going to get vaccinations for your trip, but it is worth it because you want to get everything they recommend so that you can go on your trip and not worry about the bugs that are biting you or, getting cut or scraped or any kind of illness. You want to be ready. So get the vaccinations, get them off your mind. Another thing 6 months out is if you don't have a passport, you need to get a passport and start as early as possible with that because it can take a long time. All right, a really handy thing to do is to sign up for the Known Traveler Program and Global Entry. You can sign up online. You do an interview at the designated location, then you have your handy dandy card, you register that with the airlines, then it's just really helpful because it expedites you through security, and also when you return back through customs, you're expedited. Very handy if you travel multiple times throughout the year. Now, here's where we go to my helpful tips, because I've had friends ask me, how do you plan a trip? And I thought, oh, I didn't realize people don't have their own systems of doing it. So I, of course, shared mine. It starts with a blank calendar you can print off the computer. Once I have this, because I like having something in front of me, not all digital. Yes, it goes on the digital calendar as well, but I like it to have and to hold to look at a glance. So I've got my calendar, and then you pick the day your trip starts, and you just start writing things in. What it is helpful for is when you do your overnights, because then I write that through that overnight so that I have a grasp of what I need to do. I'm going to arrive that day, I'm going to spend the night, what do I need to do that next day? Now, a lot of times I keep the fun things just optional. I don't even plan those unless it's something big, like Angkor Wat, Machu Picchu. That's the whole reason you're going. But otherwise, everything in between, you can plan as you go, you can talk to the locals, and really have a good time that way. But the things I need to know for sure: how I'm getting there, where I'm staying, and how I'm going to get around. So plan those things out, jot them down, and you have your nice calendar right in front of you. I have a cheap folder that I use for each trip. I usually write the name of the trip on it. Then I have this with me. As I plan, this calendar goes in here, and as I make reservations, they go behind in order as they happen. I usually jot at the top of the sheets whether it's lodging, transportation, and what date. So then they are done by date following this page. And as each thing happens, I can pull it out. I've got my reservation paper ready, which I also have a digital copy, but checking in somewhere, like I've got my Airbnb information, my hotel reservation number, and I know what to do. When that is done, it moves to the left side of the sheet. And then those are the things that have been completed, so that the next thing that's going to happen is the first one on the list. Now, to plan your trip, it is great to have a combination of talking to people that have been there and the internet. So get with those people that have been there, make notes, talk to them, find out what they love, find out what is great, find out the nuances and the essence of the place, and go for it. You will not be sorry. When they tell you you need to hike up that mountain so you get this great view, you go do it. That goes on the list. Okay, the internet. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. The internet is the best thing for planning a trip. Thank goodness we have it nowadays. You can plan everything there and you can learn everything there. All right, so when I'm planning this trip and creating the itinerary, if I need to find out the distance between two cities, I Google that so we know our drive time for the day. Right before the trip, I pull up the weather at weather.com to find out the warmest and coolest temperatures of each location we're going to be at. Also, if it's going to rain and if I'm going to need rain gear. Then plan for that. Do not go into it thinking it's summer, it's going to be warm, because I've been to places in summer where it's very cold. So plan accordingly and have the right clothes for that. You don't need a ton of clothes for each temperature, just some clothes that you can wear again and again. Another fun thing I like to do is see what the top sites are to see. TripAdvisor always has a top 10 list of what to see and what to do. And then I can pick and choose from what I like from that list and go for that. We all know that YouTube has everything out there. But to me, sometimes it just rocks my socks, because I thought, I need to learn, I need some tips on how to drive in the UK, okay? There, they sit on the other side of the car than we're used to in the US, and they drive on the left side of the street. Neither of those things we are used to. And I didn't know how I was gonna feel doing it. So, on YouTube, I pulled up and I watched. So 6 months prior to the trip where I was gonna drive around Ireland, I watched many videos on what people had to say, how they felt, their tips and things to do, and I just got it in my head what was going on so that I would feel a little bit better. It was still a little bit nerve-wracking at first, but then I got used to it. But one of the things I learned is hard left, wide right. So every time I came to an intersection, I said those words, hard left, wide right, because I did not want to get confused and turn into the wrong lane and cause an accident. So yeah, YouTube taught me that. YouTube taught me how to pay tolls in France, because I didn't want to pull up to a toll booth and be the idiot blocking 20 people behind me. So it taught me that. And the other thing is buying tickets for Machu Picchu, you buy from their site in their country. and it's complicated. It's not a 1, 2, 3 easy step for purchasing tickets like we experience in the United States. So there was somebody online that had an article with the steps of how to book Machu Picchu tickets on the internet. Thank goodness for all of that. It is wonderful. All right, from here on out, I'm going to talk to you as if you were planning a trip to a developing country. That way, everything is covered. So about a month before your trip, you need to check to see if you can drink the tap water in that country. If not, I will give you a great solution when we talk about products on how to deal with the water. Because I always try not to buy bottled water because of the serious plastic waste problem in this world. So it's better if you have your own water bottle, and I'll teach you how to work with that. And the other thing you can do is learn just a handful of courtesy words for the country that you're in. It's just always nice to be able to tell somebody please and thank you in their language. It's also good to read up on their customs. It's nice to know that you can wear shorts or if you're not supposed to wear shorts, if you need a head covering or not. Learn those things so that you are not in the middle of an awkward situation. These are some great apps to have in your phone. Uber, of course. And you do want to do your research to see where you're going if they do have Uber. I find it very helpful. I've been in countries where I don't speak their language, but when you put it in Uber, they know who you are, where you want to go, and the money situation is taken care of. And it also makes me feel a little bit safer because I feel like a third party knows where I'm traveling in that country. The other great app to have is the currency exchange app. When you're in a store in a foreign country and you need to know how much you're spending, you can just enter the amount and it will tell you how much it's worth in dollars. It's a good idea to have a second credit card. Whether it's to the same account or not, just make sure the numbers are different. I have one credit card account, but 2 different cards with 2 different numbers. That way, if one gets stolen or lost, they can shut down one, and I still have the other to have access to my money. All right, some of the other things you can do to prepare a month out, I'm going to be talking about when I talk about the must-have items for travel. Here's a really great tip I want to share with you. And I just learned this in the past couple of years from a friend of mine. When you are traveling, say from the US to Europe, and you travel all night and get in the morning, go ahead when you're booking your hotels or Airbnbs, book it for that night that you travel so that when you arrive in the morning, you have a place to go to, you are able to go to sleep, and then when you get up later in the day, you have the rest of the day to do stuff. Because I've done it a few times where I had not thought about doing that and I'm just waiting for the Airbnb half the day, exhausted and miserable. So go ahead and just do that, and it feels great to have somewhere to go once the plane lands after flying all night. Another thing I find very handy is having AAA. With your membership, you can go to their offices and pick up maps and guidebooks that are included in the membership. And also there's a whole lot more perks to it, but that's what I use it mostly for. And also you can get an international driver's license there for when you travel abroad and are driving. 1 week before you depart for your trip, here are some good things to do. If you're a US citizen, you should register with the State Department. There's a website and you enter your basic trip details and your contact information. And that way they know which countries you're in and how to reach you if they need to. And it's just a good thing for you to tell your home country where you're going in case you need some assistance. And I have a great story for you because you do enter your phone number. I was in Cambodia riding through the countryside and my phone buzzes and it's a message from the US State Department saying that there's an election going on and there will be some people demonstrating and just to take caution. So I made note of that, and not 2 minutes later, a truck comes by and it's the truck that there's a frame on it and there are people hanging off it like crazy, dressed up and wild and meaning no harm, but they were demonstrating for their election. So I thought that was really interesting. And I've had a couple other things happen too, where the US lets me know what's going on, and then it's very apparent what is going on where I am. So good to know. All right, the other good thing to do is in your folder, when you have all your arrangements made, to actually type up an itinerary. Print it and keep one for you in your folder, and then email it to at least one other person, if not more. So I just have mine go by day, and all the information that I know I'm going to do that day, like where I'm staying, where I'm traveling to, is on there. And that way, if anybody is just curious where I am, they can see what I'm doing. And if they need to get a hold of me and they can't reach me by phone, they know where my lodging is and all that information. It's just another good way to help people be able to get a hold of you if they need to. All right, next, you want to look up where the US Embassy is in the country you're going to, jot down their address and phone number. I've never had to use it yet, but if you're in a pickle, it's nice to have that information handy and not be searching for it when you're there and maybe stressed out. Next, you need to arrange with your phone carrier international service for the country you're going to be in. It's good to have it, and I have tried different programs. I have not found one that I love completely. I just get it on my phone, but when I'm there, I try not to use it. I turn off roaming and cellular, and mostly when I need to contact people is when I'm on Wi-Fi somewhere. But it's good to have it just in case you're separate from your people you're traveling with and you need to call them over there. So get that international plan on your phone. Next is a good idea to jot down any passwords you might need for any of your apps. Nothing is more frustrating than when you're away and you need to get into your app and you can't. So jot it down somewhere. I put it in a folder on my iPad, and I don't put the entire password, just a couple of the letters, so I know which one I used for that. That way it's still pretty safe, but it jogs my memory. All right, if you buy the Garmin, make sure you update it right before you go and have the maps in it for where you're going. And if you get that second credit card, make sure that you put the 2 credit cards in 2 different places. Another good idea is to make a copy of your passport, whether it's a paper photocopy or a copy in your computer, but then email it or give it to somebody so that they have it. Also, you need a paper copy for yourself. In case it gets lost or stolen, at least you have a copy for when you go to the embassy, you can show them what your passport looks like and they have the information. All right, let's talk gear for traveling. Now, it is key that you plan and you know where everything that you have is, because there's nothing more infuriating when you can't find your passport, you can't find this, you can't find that. If you know where everything is, and it always goes back to those places, you will be a calmer, happier traveler. Now, I do not carry a purse, I use a fanny pack. I do not worry about style and fashion when I travel. I worry about comfort and ease of everything. Now, you see all the zippers on this. I have been teased, not by family or friends, but by strangers a little bit about, oh, look at all those zippers. Well, guess what? I know where everything is, and I have it in a second. Zipper for passport, zipper for money and glasses, zipper for credit cards, zipper for earphones, zipper for the other type of earphones. Now, I'm sitting in an airplane, all belted in. I want to watch a video, got my earphones. You see, every time, passport goes back in the same place, stays with me. I've hiked mountains with this on, but I am never ever frantic looking for something because I know where it is and it doesn't leave. Great fanny pack leather from Amazon. So we're gonna go on to this Patagonia backpack. This bag rocks because, again, back to organization. Pouch here for things, little zipper here for things, main thing, and one more zippered pouch for the iPad and that travel folder. I get the camera gear in here, my entertainment, food, meds, toothbrush, eyeglasses, water bottle on the side. This also comes with me when I'm hiking. And another very good thing to have that is very necessary is a Garmin. If you're traveling to places where your telephone does not get reception, which is a lot, it can happen here in the US when you go into the mountains or in the country. The Garmin hooks up to the satellites and you will always know where you are and you can put in where you need to go. It leaves your phones free to do the things you need to do. And it sits up on the windshield and you both can see the map and where you're going. Very handy to have. So prior to leaving for your trip, you want to make sure it is updated on the computer and you want to make sure you purchase the maps for the country that you're going to so that they are in your Garmin as well. Now I want to talk about being comfortable on the airplane. In my great backpack, I always carry these things because I never want to be at the mercy of somebody else for my entertainment or my comfort. Water. It's great. Airports are now getting water filling stations so that we can just fill these up right after we get through security. We've got enough water for the flight. Food. For every flight that I take, I have one of these on there. This is definitely a meal replacement. Something about Cliff Bars fill you up and keep me satisfied for a very long time. It's not that I love them so much. There's a lot to them and sometimes they're kind of hard to eat, but they fill up an empty stomach. Very handy to have, easy to pack. My entertainment, iPad. I can watch my own movies. Don't forget to download them the night before or wherever you are with great Wi-Fi. These are probably the cheapest yet most valuable items I travel with. Earplugs and a cheap eye shade. These will save the day, whether it's loud on the flight, but mostly I've used them to sleep in places around the world that are very noisy. From keeping out the noise of people, honking horns, roosters crowing, to sometimes when you're sharing a room with a lot of people, you can put on your eye shade, your earplugs, and go to bed whenever you need to, and the noise of the others doesn't bother you. It has saved the night, which has saved the day. So don't forget these. All right. Airplane seats are getting worse and worse these days and harder to sit on. You can order this plastic donut, blow up donut from Amazon. Just put a little air into it. You sit on it. It gives your bottom and your spine enough cushion for comfort. If you need it for your back, it also works that way too. Then when the flight's over, you deflate it again, put it back in your bag. Helps a lot. The neck pillow. I only take it when I know I'm doing really late flights and I'm gonna wanna sleep. I always have inflatable ones. That way they're easier to carry. Just blow it up, use it, flight's done, again, deflate it, put it back in your bag. No matter the time of year, sometimes that air conditioning inside the airplane can be kind of chilly. I always take my Columbia jacket because even if I'm not actually wearing it, if it gets a little bit coolish, it's now my blankets. I find it very handy, easy washable. Got this at the outlet mall for 20 bucks. One of my favorite jackets, used a lot. Also for that air conditioning on the plane, sometimes it's nice to have a scarf. You put around your neck, helps you feel just a little bit warmer. The other thing is too, it's kind of nice to have a scarf on a trip because even if you're wearing plain old t-shirts, which I often do, I just wear plain t-shirts, plain tank tops, but if you want to jazz it up just a little bit, a scarf will do it. These are some other things I make sure that I have in my backpack on the airplane. Meds. You never want to have a headache or a pain and not be able to get relief for it. So I always keep some acetaminophen with me. And then personal medication that I may need, so I make sure I have it with me. It's nice to have some wet wipes. You never know if you can't get to the lab to wash your hands or something, good to have. Always want to be able to freshen up, toothbrush, toothpaste. Lotion, because it's very dry. It's nice to have that. And entertainment. You can play all kinds of games, be very entertained. I'm going to get a little deeper now into international travel. One of the most important things is to drink a lot of water and to drink good water. And you want to make sure of that. So, like I mentioned before you go on your trip, check with that country to see if the water is good to drink from the tap. If it is, you can just keep filling this up, yes, with tap water and drink it. These little pouches are handy. They're from Eddie Bauer and they hold water. They weigh absolutely minimal. But yet, if you know you're doing a big day out and about where you may not have water, now you can fill these up and you have extra water bottles. Very nice to have. Now, if you're going to a country where the water is not good, or you're going to be backpacking into the middle of nowhere, you definitely want to have a SteriPen, which is a UV light that kills all bacteria in your water and helps to keep you healthy. I went to Guatemala a couple of times without a SteriPen. I thought I was being careful with the water, but not enough. Even brushing my teeth with the local water from the tap there was enough to make me sick. And I got sick on 2 separate trips to Guatemala because I didn't make sure that every drop of water that went through my mouth was purified. So from there on out, I made sure water is. So I've used this in many countries. I will fill up this bottle, and you want a wide mouth, with water. Put the SteriPen in, turn it on. As it lights up, you put it in here and you swirl it around until the light goes out. Then you know that your water has been cleaned. And then I'm able to drink it, and I have never gotten sick since. And I just make sure that any water I drink is from this, including brushing my teeth. To take it one step further, which I've not actually used this yet, but this is a filter. What sold me on buying the SteriPen is when I was reading the reviews, there was somebody that was hiking through the backcountry and they ran out of water and they had to filter water from a poopy puddle. And I was like, well, if this will make water drinkable from that, it will work for me. And I've never forgotten that story. So they first filtered the water. This is an actual filter that goes on so that, you know, they would have no mud or dirt or rocks in their water. Then they could sterilize it with the SteriPen. Very good to have. Also, use rechargeable batteries and don't forget to bring the charger. Other key things for international travel, you want adapters for the electricity so you can charge your items. This has everything all in one. And you want 2 of them because usually you have at least 2 devices that need to be charged, or you're with people where everybody needs to charge things. All right, so this particular one, which I believe I got at AAA, you pull it apart and it's got its different adapters here so that you can use whatever outlet you need to use in whatever country you're in. Another good tip that I learned, because in some countries, their outlets are up high on the wall, and then by plugging this in and then your device, it's too heavy or your device cord doesn't reach all the way to the ground, and now you've got this situation. So I learned from another traveler to bring an extension cord, and that way you can plug this in, the extension cord into this, you have that bar, have a strip, and make sure you're not overloading it, but then you can plug multiple things into that strip. And I used that when I was in India. Another thing you want to have if you go to a foreign country is your own medical kit with your own supplies. Carry the things that you want, that if something should happen to you in the night, you can take care of yourself right there and then and not have to try to find a store that has the medicine you want the next day. So for example, I always have some type of pain relief. I have stuff for colds, Sudafed and Afrin. I have cold preventative items. I also have bug deterrent wipes, which are handy. Then I have treatment for bug bites if I get them. And I also have Neosporin in case I get cut, and some Band-Aids. So that is just when you're in a country that you may not be able to find those type of things right away. It's handy to have them yourself. And nothing's worse than when you start developing a cold, or you feel a cold coming on at 10 o'clock at night and you got a big day tomorrow and you don't know where a store is. It is such a relief to have this with you. Now, think it through. You may want to have your own latrine kit. I have been in many bathrooms in India where there's no water in the sink, no toilet paper, and the toilet doesn't flush. So to be prepared, and I was, my latrine kit consists of wet wipes for washing my hand, my own toilet paper, and a roll of dog bags in case I need to have a trash can. I can put it all in my dog bag, carry my trash with me, and throw it away the next time I see a trash can. Very helpful. Now to take it a step further, if you're camping in the middle of nowhere, you want to add a couple of items to that. You want to add a shovel and some matches. So what you do is you dig your own hole, you go to the bathroom, you burn the paper products, and you cover your hole. Just make sure that when you're burning the paper products, it is not a fire ban. You would not want to start the forest on fire because you burned your latrine items. Something very handy to have are locks. This is a neat one you can get from Home Depot. So what I'll do is if I'm leaving my electronics in the room, if I need to, I will lock my suitcase to something that is permanent in the room, and then I will lock up my suitcase. Now mind you, if somebody really wants to get something, they can chop everything up and get it. But I just feel a little bit better leaving the room with it locked up, and it's not in sight and it's not that easy to get to. This lock is handy because you can operate it even in the darkness. It's just set up on motion. You can set it up the motions you like, and it will open it. So I clear it and I push it up 4 times. Now my lock is open. You can set it up any direction you like, left, right, up, down, whatever. The instructions will show you how to use it. It's just handy if it's dark, you can't see. Lock things up again. All right, this was a tip that I just learned in the past year, and it was mind-blowing because it's very helpful, and I figure all these years and I'm just now learning it. A friend of mine went to Europe and all she was taking was a backpack. And I don't mean a big backpack like the backpacking kids use. It was like what I carry on board the airplane. And that is what she was traveling with. And in one of my questions, I'm like, how did you do it? Because you already see all the stuff I'm bringing. Well, she said all her makeup fit in one little sandwich bag because she put it all in the contact lens containers. So if you know somebody that wears contacts, they get a ton of these every time they buy a bottle of solution. What you do is you take your fine tip Sharpie and you can write on here your UV lotion, your night lotion, your foundation lotion, things like that. And so I use them now, and it just saves weight and space. Very nice to have. Whenever you come across little bags to put your chargers in, very handy. Travel size items are always good to have, takes up less space. A little bit of chocolate's good to have. I always keep one in the backpack just in case you get that urge for chocolate. All right, we're going to talk international safety here of your money and stuff. If you are not comfortable having everything in that fanny pack, you can always put something closer yet to your body under all your clothes, like your passport and your money, and it will go up under your clothing, and it just makes it harder for somebody to take. So use that at your discretion. This is a neat one. Say your hands are full and you need a light. This is a teeny little headlamp with a retractable cord for your forehead. You put it on, do what you need to do, and you have a light source. Believe it or not, last time I was in Nicaragua, I needed this for the outhouse in the middle of the night. If you are a coffee addict like me, nothing is worse than waking up in the morning and there's no coffee at all, anywhere. So I always bring a few of these instants with me. If you can get hot water, then you can make your instant cup of coffee, and then I can get my coffee fix. So it's good to have some of these along. Think about where you're going. Is it going to be sunny? Bring your sunscreen. You do not want to get burned when you're traveling. I find this neck gaiter really helpful. It's nice. I can wear it on my neck, on my head. It helps with whatever I need, and it's washable. So when I am traveling for my personal entertainment or personal photography projects, this is it. This is all I take, and everything I just showed you fits in here. The fanny pack, the backpack, and the flight crew size suitcase. This is great. It's a Travel Pro. Get your hands on one of these. There's pockets everywhere, so that helps with organization. It also has that extender that takes it up about 2 to 3 inches. My goal is not to use the extender, but when you go to a cold place, your clothes are warmer and bigger, so oftentimes you have to extend it. But it's great just because there's pouches for everything. So talking about the clothing I take with me on a trip, I try to go as simple as possible with just a couple of leg coverings, a couple of long sleeves, depending if I'm going somewhere coolish. And the only thing that I put on fresh every day is underwear and a t-shirt. And I usually only carry up to 7 days worth. So if I'm gone somewhere longer than 7 days, then I need to start washing those things. One of my most important items that I will always have with me when I'm traveling are Merrell hiking shoes. These are perfect for hiking mountains, walking in cities. They have fabulous support, very strong. My feet are always comfortable, and make sure you get waterproof ones. These are waterproof, and that way if you walk in a puddle or get a little bit of rain on, your feet are dry and they feel good. Now that doesn't work if the water goes in from where your ankle goes in, but otherwise it's kind of great. There's a little water on the street, you just keep walking right through it. This is a lifesaver. There are times I am hiking or walking up to 10 miles a day and my feet do not hurt. My muscles will give out first in my legs before my feet are hurting, thanks to the Merrell shoes. Key thing is to have good socks when you're wearing the Merrell shoes. Wigwam socks are fantastic. They're expensive, but they will last a lifetime. These wool ones keep your feet comfortable whether it's cold or hot outside. Your feet stay in like a neutral temperature. They're thick, cushioned, feel very good. I have a version of this in hiking boots that's just a little bit taller, and I wear these higher ones with those, and I am perfect. These lower wigwam socks I wear with these shoes. Very comfortable. Very important things to have. Your feet need to be comfortable so that you can keep going. These Patagonia pants are amazing. I bought them for when I was working in India because it is always 95 degrees, very, very hot, and you cannot wear shorts there. You always have to cover your legs. So these, I did my research. They will keep your legs cool, but also your legs stay warm up to a certain temperature. I was recently hiking and it must have been 55 degrees and very windy, and my legs were super comfortable. They are light material. If you sit down on the rocks or in the dirt, it does not gather the dirt. And again, I read the reviews, and one lady said these were her only pair of pants hiking through the Andes. And at the end of their trip, when they ended up in a city, she was still wearing these pants and she was able to go out on the town to eat and go dancing, and the pants did not look dirty. So that sold me. I got them. I love them. They're great for hiking, super comfortable. Rain gear. When you're looking up the weather and you see rain, take the rain gear with you. I learned, do not let rain stop you from doing what you want to do. There are some places in this world it rains a lot. And if you stay in because it's raining, you're not going to experience it. So what you want to do is you want to have your nice waterproof Merrell shoes. You want to have your nice, this is a North Face raincoat. Any raincoat will do. Okay, this is also good for wind. I can wear this over my Columbia fleece and I am much warmer because it just keeps the wind off of me. So, nice raincoat, and yep, go ahead and get the rain pants. Now you can go walking, hiking, bike riding, anything in the rain. Do not let the rain stop you. A couple more things I always have in my backpack is a hat to keep the sun off me and my neck. You never know where you're going to be and you're going to want a hat. And a bag for going to the grocery store. Because again, you don't want to use plastic. It's nice to have this. And in some countries, they don't give you bags. So then you're always ready because you have your own bag. I have to share with you my favorite luxury item. And not because they're expensive, but because they are so comfortable. These are fluffy lined socks with anti-skid dots on the bottom. They are perfect for after a day of being on your feet, and when you come back to your lodging, you can put these on and your feet are just surrounded by softness. I found these in Peru at a market and they were pretty cheap, so I have a feeling they're all completely machine manufactured, but if you Google something like this, I bet you can find it. But they're just wonderful to have. So let's get on with how to have a great traveler's attitude. All right, first of all, it helps if you are well prepared with everything you need to keep yourself happy. So that means carrying along water, food, something to keep you warm, and more. If you have everything you need, that removes that stress. The other thing is your attitude. So always think, never complain, only state the facts. So it makes a big difference whether if you're complaining about being hungry or if you truly are hungry and you say, I do need to get some food now. Okay. Just remember that. Never complain, state the facts. So another good thing to keep in mind is just deal with it. Now, not if something dangerous is happening, but if it's something a little uncomfortable, like the air conditioning is too cold, or it's a little too warm, just deal with it. This sounds simple, but it makes a huge difference. Always be kind and smile a lot. If you don't know the language, you would be surprised what a smile and pleasant facial expressions will do for the situation when you look at a person. Also, there's a lot of communication you can do even though you don't speak the language. For an example, when I was in India, I had a driver and he did not speak English. I didn't speak his language. I noticed one day he had a haircut. So I said to him, and he's like, so he knew that I liked his new haircut. A lot of that can happen. It's great. Here is the biggest concept that I would like to get across to you. When you're traveling, realize the world is not about you. It sounds strange, I know, but if you look at it that way, you are having the best fulfilling experience, because when you travel, it fills you with knowledge on every level, from what you see and what you experience and who you meet. But if you take away that it's about me, remove those little things that you are used to being in control of. The temperature of a place, take that away. The food and when you eat it, do not worry about that. Discomfort, deal with it. sounds, noises, smells. It is not about you. You are getting the experience. When you get that concept, you become a stronger person, and I do believe you have a better time. So try to remember that. Something hit me profoundly when I was reading the book by the astronaut Terry Virts. He talked about how when they were training and on missions, they had this thought process of being a +1, a 0, or a -1. Being a +1 is knowing when your actions will help the situation. A 0 is knowing that by doing nothing, you have helped the situation. And a -1 means your actions have actually hurt the situation. The key to that is knowing and learning which one to be, the +1, the 0, or the -1. So that's pretty cool, huh? So run those through your mind, and that goes for many situations throughout life. But just think about that, because sometimes just by keeping your mouth shut, the other person can accomplish something better. All right, here's a fun one for you. Sometimes traveling distances and times seem unbearable. The thought of getting on a plane and sitting in a middle seating coach for 16 hours almost seems like hell. This is the mind game I play with myself when I get on a long flight. I always say, I could be going by boat. So could you imagine, whether it's a century or two ago, or even now, getting on a boat and going to that destination, it's gonna take you forever, days. So then, when you get on a 16-hour flight, it's really not that big a deal. And you get to drink wine and watch movies. Not bad. But the best thing is, in that 16 hours, you're going to the other side of our planet and getting to experience something wonderful there. So just remember that. Another thing that really helps with travel is to have a hobby that you love to take with you. So here's where I touch on the fiber art. I always have knitting and spinning with me. So if I learn the plane is delayed by 4 hours, no problem, because I can stand and spin with the drop spindle, I can sit and knit, and I am accomplishing my projects. I am happy and soothed, and the time delay is not a problem. That also helps with those long flights and long waits in other destinations. So have a great hobby. I think I've covered the attitude. You get the idea, right? I can tell you this though, I've had a few trips ruined, and it was not because of weather or catastrophe or illness. It is because of the other person's bad attitude. So just keep that in mind. And it is good to be very conscientious of balancing out your talking, and let there be some silence too. That can be refreshing for the people that you're with. Also, refrain from ever bossing anybody around. Keep your mouth shut, observe, and let things happen. Those are my tips for having a great traveler's attitude. Now I want to share with you my favorite camera gear to take when I travel. Now, if I'm working for somebody else, that's a whole different ball game with all different gear and a lot more gear. But traveling on my own or for a personal project, I take a good camera, but I have everything minimalized and very light in weight. So my camera is a fantastic Sony A7. It's mirrorless, it's very light, with a 24mm 1.4 lens. That too is very light. That is it for the camera. I can spend up to 10 miles a day on my feet, so it is very critical that my camera gear is light and manageable, so when I'm hiking, it is with me. The other key things is I have a Rode microphone on the camera for any video recording of sound. Then I have the LumiCube as a light source. Light, little, waterproof. Not as powerful as a flash, but it's my light source and I make it work. Then of course, just the little things you have to have: battery, charger, and extra SD cards. I have cords for charging. This is a cotton carrier, and it is something very valuable to have if you're a photographer on the go. I have two of these. This is my one for travel because it only has one slot that holds the camera. But working here in Tampa at the beaches, I have another one that has a place for a camera here and a place for a camera here. And it's a system where they lock in and you're basically wearing them right next to your body. Super handy, because here in Tampa, I do a lot of beach weddings and I've got two cameras and they never touch the sand because I'm either holding one or wearing them. Same with the one I take traveling. My camera is always right here locked in. I can hike, climb, do all kinds of things, and the camera is attached to me and safe. This is just a little adapter that sits on top of the camera that can hold my microphone and my LumiCube so I can have sound and light at the same time. And lastly, for my tripod, I use the Gitzo Traveler. It's made out of carbon and it is very light with a really right stuff ball head. The camera and lens come with me on the airplane. The rest gets shipped in the suitcase. And it all weighs very little, but produces very good quality images. One last little tip before we close. Get a metallic marker, silver or gold, and write your phone number on stuff. I learned that from a friend. She'd accidentally left some things behind, and because her phone number was on it, the people called her and she got it back. So, most of the people in this world are like you and me. If we find somebody else's stuff, if we have a way to get it back to them, we will. So my phone number is on many items, and luckily I've never left anything behind, but it's there just in case. All right, so good luck planning your trip. Remember to be organized, stay calm, be happy. I wish for you a wonderful time on your trip. And thank you for joining me today to hear all this information. I am very happy to share it with you.